Feel a burning in your chest. You know you're different than the rest. Sometimes it makes it feel like you could cry. When you're looking at the world through the heart that's on your sleeve, rather than your saline eyes. And sometimes it scares you to death. And sometimes it stops you in your tracks. Sometimes it makes it feel like you're pushing for nothing. But then everything gets quiet and the world moves in slow motion. And that little voice inside you whispers, do something. This is your call. Your call to be the one who will inspire, climb mountains, turn fire that shines brighter than the sun. And you will not waver, you will stand tall, you will be brave. You're gonna be the difference between loving and resistance. So hear me when I say, you are able, you're willing, you're strong. And this is your call. Yes. This is your call. Yes. You hear the thunder in your voice. You know you have no other choice. Open up your mouth, just let it fly. When you look down at your hands, and you know the best laid plans are the ones that push you up from deep inside. And they'll try to make you believe that you cannot question what you see, that you should just lay low. No one's ever sown a seed without breaking up the ground, and no one's ever made history by settling for status quo. This is your call. Your call to be the one who will inspire, climb mountains, turn fire that shines brighter than the sun. And you will not waver. Between loving and resistance. So hear me when I say, you are able, you're willing, you're strong. This is your call. Yes. This is your call. So be the love, and love will be the change you want to see. Wear what makes you feel good, take who you want to prom. I will sit with you till there's liberty and justice for all. This is your and resistance. So hear me when I say, you are able, you're willing, you're strong. You're able, you're willing, you're strong. You are able, you're willing, you're strong. And this is your call. This is your call. This is your call. This is your call. You feel that?
This is your call. Are you going to answer? Hey, speaking of that, just go ahead and mute your cell phones. Just in case we are in the middle of a meditation and you get your call. The call of revolutionary love is the choice to enter into labor for others, our opponents, and ourselves in order to transform the world around us. That will take each and every one of us hearing our own unique call. We don't all have to do it the same way. We don't all have to certainly be able to belt that out, because I do sing it in the shower sometimes, but that's as close as I get. Right? So taking what we can do, starting with ourselves, which tends to be the hardest part somehow. To take good care of ourselves, to tend to what's going on in ourselves, to recognize what happens in ourselves that we then project onto others, and then say, those people. Sometimes it is those people. They're doing the same thing, right? So it's a complicated situation. Valarie Kaur has crafted this handy love compass tool that should come up on your screen. We have handouts in the back for you. First of all, do you notice that the contrast of that screen there? And does that look any better to you people? That's a new projector right there. Yes. God bless Polly Roberts, who bought the other one 20 years ago. 20 years it lasted. Well, maybe 15. But you might have noticed it was turning more green than black, more yellow than red. So we're really excited to debut that. Now we just need to get a screen that actually can fit the HD size, and then we'll be in business. But we're going to do some movie nights and stuff now that we have that new projector. I've gotten off track, but I wanted to point it out to you. We're super happy to get it, and I hope you enjoy it. So this idea to consider the paths by which we can work on this capacity of loving from a revolutionary standpoint. And we're finishing here with loving our opponents. It's okay if you haven't been here. You can jump in. I'll catch you up. I want to just remind you that the work of this whole idea of revolutionary love was grounded in Valarie's Sikh tradition, S-I-K-H. And the Guru Nanak, who led that becoming a faith, had this vision of seeing no stranger, of an embodied sense of oneness, that we are all connected. And so in truth, he said, I see no stranger, I see no enemy. Now that's a hard reality to live into sometimes. And then, again, we're never asking anyone to put themselves in harm's way. But to begin to consider, just when you're in the grocery store, just when you're driving around, that these are all people that you share a connection with, spiritually and certainly through our shared humanity. She shared early on in her understanding of this revolutionary love that came really from the teachings of her grandfather that taught her the foundation of her Sikh faith, and he immigrated here from India in 1913. So as a little girl, he lived with them. She came home early in elementary school and had been offended by a racial slur. I think she was in second grade. And he picked her up and said, my dear, those who are not able to love you have forgotten to wonder about you. Don't let that make you forget to wonder about them. And so this work is coming from a place of experience of how hard it is sometimes to love others, and specifically to love our opponents, right? And I just want to really ground that while we're doing this very quickly, I really want to take it more deeply, and if there's an interest, I will, to take it into a series. But it's work. It's labor. It's not easy. But who in here hasn't worked hard for something? Anybody? Don't you dare raise your hands. I haven't done a damn thing. Can you imagine a world where we're all working harder to expand the capacity of love for ourselves, for others in our lives, and those who we don't yet know, and yes, even for our opponents? Valarie defines opponent as anyone whose ideas, beliefs, or actions oppose your own. Now again, you want to go to those big ones. But think about, in any given day, how people that you interact with sometimes push into that. Yes, for a moment. She talks about her 5-year-old throwing a tantrum when she's trying to leave. You are opposing me right now. But how do I tend to the wound? That's the bigger invitation here. Tending to this child needs something. There's a frustration. Let me tend to that as best I can and not react so much. So she defines opponent. I already said that. The word enemy implies permanence, but opponent is fluid. We have a range of opponents in any given time, distant and near. Even the people closest to us can become an opponent for a moment. Whether our opponents are political or personal, persistent or fleeting, we can practice tending the wound. Ours, first of all, and if it's safe, theirs. The goal of loving our opponent is to begin to understand them. So I just want to reiterate that last week we talked about the first step, which I found to be like, wow, okay, we're going to start there. The first step in loving our opponent is rage. We have to deal with the rage that we might feel, the anger we might feel, the grief that we might feel from their actions. Tend to that first in ourselves so that we're not blinded by it in our attempt to connect with them. Right? It's okay, and we want to say too, feeling anger and rage is a natural, normal response to being threatened, to being misunderstood, to being harmed. There's nothing wrong with it. We don't want to act it out. We want to find a safe container to let that go, to realize that something important has been violated for us, right? And then we can begin to harness that energy in a positive way, in a way that can bring the action or the change that we want to see, the connection with the person. So the reminder there, and as we go through this, to begin to listen to our opponents, you might dance back to rage. Anybody done that? You have this conversation with your father or the uncle or your brother or your sister or your mother-in-law, whoever is it, and you've got to step away and let your rage. Don't do it with them. I don't recommend that because then you're back into tug of war. So it's a dance. But we're going to try to listen to our opponents to seek to understand them. Not to change them. Oh, darn it. Take a breath. I know. Not to change them, not to persuade them, not to compromise with them or legitimize them. Listening to our opponents ultimately preserves their humanity and ours. Anytime we disconnect from someone's humanity, it does something to ours too. You feel that, don't you? You have to be brave to feel it. You don't. I do. Have to sort of disengage that part of our ego that wants to be right and have somebody be wrong. And particularly when we're threatened, that's understandable. So Valarie shares that listening to our opponents can be one of the most challenging practices for sure. Even imagining listening to our opponents can be challenging. And sometimes that's the first step. Start there. Start there. She reminds us that we don't really see examples of people who consider each other opponents sitting and listening to each other in our culture. We see a bunch of snarking, even on, just turn on a news channel. Just talking and all this. Not a lot of listening. Now I know they're supposed to talk to you. They're assuming we're listening. Okay, it's a bad example, but you get my point. We don't often see people sit down and try to do the labor of not persuading the audience or persuading each other, but simply understanding each other across the chasms of difference. We don't see it, but we know that it's possible. Community healers have been doing it for centuries. The kids talked about Gandhi and MLK. Trying to understand each other is huge, and it's not easy. Valarie shares the information, the knowledge that neuroscientists call it cognitive load. Trying to understand the perspective and pain of people that we are inclined to dislike and even hate is a dramatic cognitive challenge. It's not easy. Like anything, it becomes more easy with practice. So it's okay if it's hard. We keep trying it. We keep trying it. The call to love our opponents is to listen for how they too have been wounded and hurt and are acting out of that pain or that fear or that confusion. Just to even do that, doesn't that just sort of, it just changes. If you can just do that, you can relate to trying to understand that a little bit better. Again, it doesn't mean that you're going to change them or even have the best relationship with them necessarily, but that you can connect and expand a sense of understanding. And it certainly may impact how you respond. She reminds us, too, that you don't have to feel anything for your opponent in order to listen to them. You don't have to come out of the gate like, this person has caused me all this mental upset, and I'm just going to come in and love them. All you have to do is be willing to listen. You don't have to feel anything. You might, as a result of what you hear. One of the biggest risks we run with listening to people who oppose us in some way is that we might be changed by what we hear. And that's risky. Or is it? Or is it? So it's back to that sense of wonder. Can I begin to wonder what's driving you? What hurt, what fear, what confusion is driving your behavior that's driving me crazy? I added that part. She didn't say that. All right, just take a laugh, take a minute. Lighten up, it's okay. The primary goal of listening is to deepen our understanding of the world, of others, and of ourself. Sometimes listening to your opponents gets you clearer on why you believe what you believe. Sometimes it has, for me, loosened up what I think I believe. I've been able to have a little more spaciousness around, I can see that point. I don't maybe hold that value, but I can see that point. I had a situation a little bit ago where someone had emailed me about something I said, and I was ready to say, this is why, and this is... And I thank God, talked to my mentor. She said, do you really want to say that? How do you think that's going to land? Well, they need to know. What do you really want out of this situation? You want to be understood too. So don't come out of the gate telling them why they're wrong. Oh, darn it. And I had to do some work. I had to do some work in that. What did I really want him to know? It wasn't that I was right. I mean, that would have been great. But what I was valuing, and to know that I heard what he was valuing through that, what felt like a criticism, right? So it takes some work. But is it worth it? Have you ever screwed up and someone called you on it and you were really gracious for the way they heard you and gave you another chance? I could tell you another example that just happened last week. That I was reacting, out of just what I thought was right. You're going to be like, wow, Trish, this is all about you, isn't it? I'm just giving you examples, living examples. And when I was just really clear that I was right about this, and then I saw the fuller story, the fuller picture of someone who was carrying a lot, and who maybe wasn't as invested as I was in this one thing. And I could give some grace there, but it wasn't my first response. I had to think about the relationship and to try to understand and to try to stay connected. So it takes some humility and some practice. The next step that we can do then, after we've listened, next comes the step of reimagining. And this, what we're working toward, together we can begin to reimagine a culture, a society, a world where no one is left behind, not even our opponent. Can you imagine that? I know. Can you? Yeah. Valarie says this about reimagining. To reimagine is to explore a vision of a relationship, a community, and a world where all can flourish. Reimagining means that we're doing more than resisting our opponents. We are wondering about them. We are seeking to understand them. And in the bigger picture, we are looking at the cultures that radicalize them and institutions that authorize them. See, a lot of these systems have been built not from a place of understanding, from a place of sort of hierarchies and powers and who belongs and who doesn't. But what if everyone belongs? How do we reimagine a world? That's not going to happen. This is your call. Anyone else feel like someone's going to show up and handle this? Who is it going to be? It's us. It's us. And again, we all do our part. But we can't do nothing. That's just not an option. I love this empowering quote. You're going to say, can she find it quickly? Always the question with me, isn't it? Here it is. Valarie clearly names what I think we have all been feeling, but perhaps denying. This is the era that we are in. This is our time to declare what is obsolete, what can be reformed, and what must be reimagined. That is up to all of us. And we have this power of imagination. We don't have to start with what is. I mean, we do. But we can imagine beyond that. how do we begin to engage in that process of reimagining? Again, I'll end with Valarie, and then we'll have a time of meditation. Revolutionary love calls for the creation of the beloved community. This is a concept set forth by Martin Luther King Jr. over 60 years ago. To create a beloved community in all the places and spaces where we gather together. And additionally, to expand access to those circles of belonging to any other that hasn't been included. Because everyone is ultimately included. This is the way we actually learn to live and see no stranger. Valarie defines the beloved community as the felt sense of being at home in your body and at home in the world. This is a basic human right. And it's also a spiritual reality it's a lived reality of the spiritual principle of oneness. You can't do things that harm other people, but you should be able to go out in the world and feel at home in your body, yes? Feel safe. And this is again where the role of solidarity and allies is so important. I don't think I got it until now. If you're not someone whose well-being is threatened, then it's up to us to come stand in that place for those who are. We can't expect them to be the front of the line. Their well-being is threatened. So it's not enough to just think, oh, I think everyone belongs. I don't do that. I don't not like certain people. I think everyone, good. Show that. We've got to show that. That's how we begin to reimagine and to actually live into and build into a community where everyone belongs. And beloved community begins in all the places and all the spaces, just like this one. Does everyone here think the same way? Well, we like to say, I like to be with like-minded people. That's great. And this is a place to do that where we have this understanding of spirituality that begins first and foremost with, we're not the worms of the earth that we might have been taught in our initial traditions. We're actually born of original goodness. And it's up to us to own that and to live that in all the places and spaces that we can. But not everyone in here has the same belief about everything. And this is a place where we can say, I don't agree. Tell me more. Tell me why you value that. And practice that. And that's the place, any place that you gather with people where you can start to participate in the creation of a beloved community. So just invite you to consider, first of all, to acknowledge that it is work. We can't just show up and hope someone else will do it. But I do believe the time has come and we are all feeling the call to find our ways to do that. So we'll have a moment of meditation now for you to kind of connect with this concept of beloved community, how it feels in your body and how you might be an extension of it in the world. So you might want to raise your hands real high so you're really alert for a second. There you go. I'm going to ring the singing bowl, which invites us to drop from our head to our hearts. Just take a deep breath. So just invite you to feel your feet solidly on the ground and the chair supporting your back. Taking a breath. And just sense for as much as possible, we are seeking to create a safe space here where you can be the fullness of who you have come here to be. So if that helps you to loosen up a little bit and deepen your breath, I invite you to do that. And maybe just connect for a moment with this concept of the beloved community where you and everyone are invited and encouraged and supported in feeling at home in your body, feeling safe to express the fullness that you are. And just notice how that lands with you. Do you find that that's the case in most spaces for you, or not? And be curious about that. If that's not a familiar experience, try to think of a place, a space, a community where indeed you do feel safe and seen and able to show up as your full self. Actually invite us all to land in a space that does that for us. And just take notice of what's present there. What makes it so that you can feel that way? Is it the people? Is it the energy? Is it the space itself? Oftentimes, people cite that it happens mostly outside, or connected and surrounded in nature, which is also the place where people often feel the closest to the divine. So just take a moment to notice what's present wherever you are in the beloved community where you feel seen and safe and free to be yourself. And connect with what it is that you bring to that, what you offer to that space for others to feel the same. And take note of that as how you can expand, perhaps, being that way in more places. And also giving yourself permission to find more spaces and places that offer that for you. You may be the one who begins to pivot a certain space toward being more of a beloved community. We just begin to set that power of our imagination, toward that possibility of that becoming a reality for more and more people in more and more places and more spaces. And to work through the spaces within us where we maybe feel that we can't fully express who we are. We might need to tend to that. What is that? Where does it come from? What can we do for it? How do we need to express it? So just invite us all to let our imagination flourish in seeing a world that truly works for all people, letting all people be the fullness that they have come here to be. And could it be that only then will we begin to reimagine the next phase of our future together, one that honors our sacred connection and our sacred worth. One where we can know that as we are, just as we are welcome. I invite you to take a deep breath. Ground that in one of our favorite new songs, As I Am.
I am here, I am whole, as I am. I am safe, I am loved, as I am. I am grateful and I'm free. I'm as perfect as can be. I am here, I am whole, as I am. I am here, I am whole, as I am.
Just want to remind us gently that coming to know the depth of that you are whole as you are, is also takes some work. Takes us looking at the places and the ways that we've acted out, sometimes that have caused hurt to others. Sometimes having to heal the places that were hurt by others who didn't see our worth or our value. So as I see that it's hard for some of you, I just want you to be gentle with yourselves and know that none of us is perfect. And what we are coming to know that we are still nonetheless expressions of that perfect love. And that perfect love is available to and through us and for us. So as much as I've asked you to listen to and begin to understand and maybe even care about your opponents, boy, you got to start by doing that for yourself. Okay, so I just invite you to take a deep breath. I'm going to remind us of our mission here that we're working together and all that your donations go toward to support. We are totally supported by your donations, so thank you for that. I invite you to own this mission with me because it really is with all of us living this out that it becomes a reality. So if you will, just state it with me. We inspire authentic connection with the divine, self, and others for spiritual growth, healing, and loving service in the world. And so this is the big mission that your gifts today go toward supporting. There are baskets in the back for cash and check as you leave. There's a QR code back there as well, and there's a QR code in your bulletin if you want to give electronically, and I know many of you have set that up to be reoccurring, so thank you for that. All right, do we get to hear a new song, one we've never heard? Yeah, let's hear it.
It's the first time I've ever done it live. You're welcome. Well, I did do it for NPR, but it wasn't live. I see brilliant minds doing things to change our tides, finding ways to make up for the things that have been taken without making the same mistake twice. And I see folks out there showing others how much they care. Random acts of kindness, stopping to be mindful. Strangers loving strangers everywhere. So open up your mind so you can see it. Then open up your heart and go be it. Oh, hold on, don't let him tell you that the world's gone cold. Oh no, don't let him tell you that there is no hope. I won't let go to the possibilities I see in humanity. Oh no, hold on, don't let him confiscate the love. It's there, I swear, and who you are is enough to tip the scales. So go and be yourself. If we try, we just might be the difference in the way this thing goes. Wow. I see children shine in seemingly impossible sights, mountains in scaling them, setbacks, then nailing it, imagination knowing no heights. So I gave up my 9 to 5 to prove to me that this world's still mine, to prove that we can do it if we love each other through it. It's the reason why we're all still alive. So open up your mind so you can see it. Then open up your heart and go be it. Oh, hold on, don't let him tell you that the world's gone cold. Oh no, don't let him tell you that there is no hope. I won't let go to the possibilities I see in humanity. Oh no, hold on, don't let him confiscate the love. It's there, I swear, and who you are is enough to tip the scales. So go and be yourself. If we try, we just might be the difference in the way this thing goes. Hey, listen up. So I'll encourage you, then you encourage them, then they'll encourage me, and we'll do it all again. Can't you see how this works if you agree? Nod your head and hold your hand out. Can't you see how this works if you agree? Nod your head and hold your hand out. So open up your mind so you can see it. Then open up your heart and go be it. Oh, hold on, don't let him tell you that the world's gone cold. Oh no, don't let him tell you that there is no hope. I won't let go to the possibilities I see in humanity. Oh no, hold on, don't let him confiscate the love. It's there, I swear, and who you are is enough to tip the scales. So go and be yourself. If we try, we just might be the difference in the way this thing goes.